Take on It by its_Kingston on AO3. Episode 5, Chapter 5. Standing in front of Hexside's daunting gates, which were more stressful than when Luz was schooling, was on the line. Her mind was racing with thoughts of what she'd leave behind if she lost now. Friends, family, opportunity, and so much more. Okay, Luz, you've got this. She took a deep breath, trying her best to calm her nerves as she walked into the school. The hallways were much quieter than normal, though still not silent. Luz said that they'll ever be completely noise-free. The passing conversation Luz heard helped keep her mind from the endless list of terrible outcomes that could happen. Focusing on the voices of people nearing her, she stumbled herself into the conversation. You know Amity's gonna be first again. Luz was dragged away from the peace she found and thrown back into the chaos of her mind. Amity always comes first. Why did I think I could beat her? I'm gonna lose. Luz couldn't shake the deprecating thoughts her brain kept pronouncing. She knew the odds were stacked against her, but she was still gonna try. Focus on your breathing, in and out. Calm down, she whispered to herself as she began to navigate the tightly packed hallway to her locker. Finding it, she undid the lock, grabbing her books as fast as possible. If there was one person she didn't want to see this morning, it was her locker neighbor, Minty Fresh. Luz ran through the crowded corridors as fast as she could, taking care not to trample anyone in her way. Arriving in the testing room, which she was surprised to see existed, a room solely for taste testing, she sat down in her marked chair. She put her head down on her desk, wanting to sleep through the exams. For the rest of the year, even. A tap on her shoulder shook her out of her sleep-like state, making her sit up and groan, looking for the culprit, who further ruined her mood. Can't have you fall asleep before the test, Noceda. Luz knew who it was without glancing. The only person who would talk to her like that, in a tone seeped with such disrespect and venom. Go away, Blight, Luz said calmly, resting her head down on the desk. I'm in your testing group. I can't go away. Amity replied back. Luz could see the smug grin she had without looking. Then leave me alone. Luz fired back, not wanting to deal with the taunting right now, or ever, for that matter. You just seemed so confident you'd beat me. I thought I'd get a last few minutes of bullying now. Or can it wait until you left the school? Amity said, on the verge of laughing. She was much meaner than normal. Did Basha give you some tips or something? You're a lot like her now. Luz asked, keeping her tone even. That quickly silenced Amity. I guess she doesn't like being compared to that pink-haired menace, Luz thought to herself as she watched Amity go take her seat on the other side of the classroom. The bell sounded shortly after, alerting all the students of the beginning of their classes. Hello, everyone. An older man walked in. Luz assumed he'd been the teacher for this class. You'll be taking your 4 core exams today. Each will be 25 questions with a total of 100 questions. You will have from now until school is over to complete them. If you finish early, you may leave. He said, continuing on. He informed the class of the rules and what would happen to cheaters. I'll break your knees, he told everyone. Luz wasn't sure if he was joking, but she didn't want to find out. Cool, never gotta cheat. Got it. Luz made a mental note never to cross this guy. He went around passing out papers. Once everyone had theirs, he allowed them to begin. You may start. His voice echoed through the quiet testing room, making it sound more like a Coliseum fight than a high school exam. Luz knew most of the answers as she breezed through the questions. She struggled with math, but succeeded in everything else. She also felt much more confident. She recalled how Mr. Kneebreaker, Luz's name for the scary teacher, explained the grading system. Each question is 1 point. There are 4 tests and 25 questions on each. 100 questions total. Your score would be out of 100. For example, if you get all math questions wrong, but everything else right, you'll get a 75 out of 100. A passing score. He said. The system seemed to work in Luz's favor. Mashing all the scores together meant she'd probably get a higher one, though that meant Amity would too. Ugh, why can't I stop thinking about how much better she probably is? Luz smacked her forehead with her palm, trying to unstick the thought from her head. Focus, she thought to herself, not whispering aloud fear that her knees might get broken. Writing down the last answer, Luz stood up, waving to give her paper to Mr. Kneebreaker. Good job, now leave, he told Luz, ushering her out the door. How'd you do? Shush, I don't want him to break my knees. Luz responded, unsure of who she was speaking to. Noceda, are you that childish? Amity mocked her. Oh, it's you, Blight. I hope he doesn't break your knees. And why do you care how I did? Luz responded, meaning every word of it. Amity gestured for Luz to follow as she began walking to their lockers. I already know I won. I just want to know how bad you did. She snickered, stepping forward to her locker. Hey, Blight, I know I'm probably going to lose, Luz said, making eye contact with the shorter girl. Seems like you come first in every year. And besides, it's all over and done now. Luz said, feeling a bit better now that the exams had been completed. She had relaxed a lot since she handed her paper in. The adrenaline had begun to fade, and her old self returned. I know, Amity replied, feeling no guilt for the sad smile on Luz's face. She wasn't going to let her opponent manipulate her. The real question is how far down you are on the school's charts, Amity said, fumbling with the stack of books, threatening to spill over her full locker. Why is your locker so packed? Luz reached over and put a hand on the uppermost stack, making sure they didn't tumble out and crush Amity. I need to keep my books here. Why else would it be full of them? And what are you doing? Amity spectacly asked her, seeing Luz hold her books. Keeping them from crushing you? Luz said smugly. Oh, thanks, Noceda. Amity replied, sounding less upset now. Luz hummed in response before asking about the earlier topic. You said something about school charts, right? What are those? Luz asked, still unsure about all the traditions that school had. The school posts charts with the top 500 students' names and ranking. Amity replied, seemingly frustrated as she skimmed through the thick stack of books in her locker. You okay, Blight? Luz asked, hands still firmly planted on the books that might fall out. Do you happen to have a copy of that science books that we were using this year? Amity asked quietly, really not wanting to borrow Luz's copy. You sure you don't have one in there? Luz teased, not about to miss the opportunity to annoy her dearest friend. Never mind, I retract my question. Amity pushed Luz's hand away before slamming the locker shut. Chill, Minty Fresh, Luz mumbled, grabbing her science book out of her locker. Amity snatched it from her, skimming through the pages before she found the one she needed. What you need it for? Luz asked, glancing over Amity to see the book. To check something. Now stop looking over my shoulder. Amity replied, her anger mostly quelled now that she was focused on reading. Stop being short and I won't be able to look over your shoulder, Luz said jokingly. Amity did not like the joke. Stop being so freakishly tall, Noceda. I'm of average height. Amity snapped back, her anger now back in full force. She shut the book, pushing it back into Luz's arms. Geez, I'm only 6 foot. That's not freakishly tall. I think you're just jealous. Luz mocked, once again, wanting to take every opportunity she could to annoy Minty Fresh. Jealous of you? Don't flatter yourself, Noceda. Amity replied, walking towards the front entrance. Oh, come on, don't be so rude, Blight. Luz followed behind her, playfully elbowing the girl. Why are you following me? Stop being weird, Amity asked, picking up the pace. 1, we're having a conversation. 2, you're walking to the only exit. Luz informed, before running in front of Amity, turning around to shout one final goodbye before sprinting as fast as humanly possible back to Eda's house. Bye, Minty Fresh. I can't wait to get kicked out of school by you. Luz waved before walking off and hearing one thing in reply. What kind of nickname is that, Noceda? Yep, that went by fast. Okay, chapter 6 is a bit longer. I think chapter 6 is finally gonna reach the 13-15 mark. Finally, we're getting somewhere. It doesn't fully reach that, whole mark. But, oh my god. I really hope Luz wins. I'm not joking. Like, I really hope she wins. I wonder if the thing that Amity was checking is maybe like while taking the test, she wasn't 100% sure on one question, so she checked and found out that shit, she had been wrong in that one question kind of situation, which would explain why she was so mad. Maybe she was pressured to have full like 100 on that test. Like, not maybe, most likely Odalia is like that, and her mom does not like her even being slightly bad at anything. Like a 90 would be failing in her mom's eyes kind of situation, which I feel is stupid as fuck. Anyways, that's all I have to say about this. Kingston, you did such a good job. I cannot wait to read more. And as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.